Good evening. Welcome to Cause, Creating and Understanding Self-Empowerment. Hey man, this is the day. Earlier today I did a podcast and I was telling you about a brother that we've been missing each other. Every time I zig, he zag. Got out the door. I just walked in from work and I seen him. I say, man, look, I brought you up this morning in the podcast thinking that you might come through the door. I know you leave early,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
and a lot of times, when I come back in, you gone. So we finally had a chance to meet up together, and I'm glad he, welcomed my opportunity, brother. So, what you got to say about your reentry, brother?
It's been a blessing. I'm one of those. I've always been one of those glass half full people opposed to half empty. I know you got 1,000 books written on mindfulness, but I think us coming from the position that we in, we have a real opportunity to be mindful and appreciative. It's a different level of appreciative coming from where we come from. I mean, you appreciate just being able to walk outside, just to even talk to a brother, or to have like-minded people around you, to have an opportunity to have somebody say no. You know what I'm saying? And just to be able to have a conversation and be around people that don't see limitations and not have to communicate from a limited perspective, So yeah, it's been a blessing, man. I try to share that with all brothers. It's, be thankful for everything.
And that's what I say all the time. It's like, actually, it's our thinking that's our limitation. That's what I tell people, And this is why most of the time we see people have things that we desire because they're doing something that we're not doing. And it has a lot to do with your thinking, It's like a lot of us coming out of jail right now. We got a plan, and a lot of people think that the plan only because you went to jail. But I mean, don't get me wrong. I tell people jail is like driving a car. It gives you a front wheel alignment, Sometimes, it's like it shows you how to drive without your hand on the steering wheel more than a lot of people that because when we be out here on the street a lot of times people get caught up in life, right? We're starting to see it. I'm
you got bills to pay, you got responsibilities, you got distractions, you got to really be committed to your position.
That's right.
And do what you need to do, or you're not going to do it. If you wait for somebody else to do it, it's not going to happen.
And success has a lot to do with how much time you got to kill.
Right.
That's why I told a lot of brothers when they was in prison, I said, bro, look, this could be a head start or a fresh start, It all depends on how you do your time because it's like this here. People say it as a cliche, if you fail a plan, you plan to fail.
Exactly.
But that's true in operation, and things. If you don't have a plan to try to get it together, your re-entry gonna be rough. Because I can tell you, brother, ain't nobody giving you nothing when you come home. Have you experienced that?
Yeah, exactly. I twofold, but that been a blessing.
Right.
Because they don't have to give me nothing.
Right.
Because everywhere I go, I see an opportunity. I am my own opportunity.
Right.
And I tell the brothers that all the time. So, man, you have to have the ability to be, when everything is dark around you, to be your own source of light. To just tap off into that divine that's within you and be that light that you need. You shouldn't have to go outside of yourself to be looking for somebody to give you a motherfucking thing. You know what I'm saying? So, but everybody needs somebody. And if you just make steps towards, and I've known that, if you just make steps towards what you're trying to accomplish, then you're gonna meet people that's gonna be able to aid and assist you if you have some sense of integrity.
You know what? That reminds me. I used to tell brothers all the time this here.
And being humble, you gotta humble yourself.
Right. And and it's like this here. What you said is equivalent to like your car breakdown, right?
Right.
Okay. And now you standing outside your car hitchhiking, right? People might pass you up, but if you get behind the car and start pushing it, right? People start noticing that you're trying to help yourself.
Right.
So as a result,
somebody gonna pull over.
That's right.
Man, hey man, you need some cables,
Right.
You want to push, or you need me to take you somewhere where you can get somebody to help you.
That's right.
Somebody gonna try to do
That's
something.
right.
Because everybody knows.
That's right. You help yourself, and people see you help yourself. And not only that, it makes you more lighter to pick up.
Right.
You know
yeah,
what I'm
if you're
saying?
trying to go to.
Right.
Yeah, you don't be so
That's
heavy.
Right. Some people you become dead weight to, and like, I know my reentry, man. I'm telling you, my reentry is a blessing for me. I mean, every day I count my blessings, man. I come home, I got a great job. I like my position, with everything, and I know everything is a process. I want to get to where some people at, but I know in times it's gonna be that. You know, my relationship with my wife is great. My relationship with people around me is great. So, you know, I'm glad that I came out here at this soft landing.
Right. That's a blessing too.
And me and you be involved with a lot
Right.
of programs,
Right.
you know, and
Right.
things. So, you know, even from here,
Right.
because when I first came here, me and this brother, a bridge was crossed through someone else, right? And we went to talking about re-entry, and come to find out, I hadn't even had the job where I was at yet, right? He called somebody that I worked with, right, to try to get me back out, right? And it almost did happen. It was just so late
Right,
until
right.
the calls was made, but the person who could make the decision wasn't here.
Right.
You know, and acquaintance live a lifetime.
Yeah.
Me and this brother been vibing, conversation. You know,
Like-minded, same tribe.
Right.
Same
right.
DNA.
So
Yeah.
that's why it was
Yeah.
so much of an honor to have him on this
Thank you too,
podcast, man. You know, because you know I got a roster lined up, and like I told you, you know, it's like I'm trying to change the format to the man on the inside. You know, it's gonna be incorporated under the blanket of calls, but it'll be something different because sometimes in order to do something better, you got to do something different.
Yeah, exactly. And we have a fresh perspective.
Right.
You know, they say nothing is new under the sun, but when we see, well, another person see a barrier, we see an opportunity.
That's right.
Because our vision is different, and I think, and it's not just those that's coming from inside the walls, it's just those that's not locked up in their mind. Because you don't have to be locked up to be locked up. You know?
I tell people that. Really, let me tell you something. It's the difference between freedom and liberty.
Right.
You know, I know a lot of people that's free, but they don't have liberty.
Right.
You know, I mean, even in prison, sometimes we might see 1,200 people a day
Right.
throughout the kitchen. Whereas some people on their job, they might only see people in traffic that they don't even encounter with, then go home and go inside of a room.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Not to, you know, to say that that's not a life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's just that sometimes when we
So much
come
more.
home, and then it has a lot to do with your orientation and your drive too.
Perspective, yeah.
Perspective, your belief system. You know? So, you know, I tell people, man, belief is a superpower. You know, because it's that motivation that takes you from here to there. It gives that superpower that make you believe that you can get from here to there. You know, and like I said earlier in the podcast, you know, you should go to sleep every day knowing something that you didn't know this morning.
Right. Man. And that's something right there. If you to have that ability to keep challenging yourself to grow, because I've noticed that with the people, our brothers that I've come into contact with, or just people in general, you know, when we lose our ability to keep growing or having different perspectives and being around different people, we lose our ability. We start we're going to the grave. You know?
That's right. That's
because
right.
you lost your enthusiasm for life. You gotta have that same youthful exuberance for life that you had when you was young, when you was curious with everything, you know. So
and that's what I said in one of my podcasts. I mean, about 3 podcasts back. Some people become finalists. You know, finalists, meaning that you at your final stage in life that you ain't gonna get no larger, right? And that's what's gonna take you to your grave. You know, because life is about becoming all the time. You know what I'm saying? Change. You know, I mean, sometimes people age, but they don't grow.
Right.
You know, it's a difference between aging and growing. It's about becoming. Like I tell people, you know, it's like, hey, we go from job to job, you know, letting our employee train us for something of their agenda, but we haven't trained ourselves of nothing that's could be our agenda.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So sometimes, you know, you gotta ask yourself, hey, why your boss don't know how to do what you do? You know what I'm saying? You've been trained to work for him. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes we got to get out that mode, you know? And sometimes you realize you got to stay there for right now. But when you have an agenda to grow past that, you know when now have arrived.
Right. Wow, that's deep. I was having a conversation at a program. It's a workforce program. That's the brother's name. That's called Thrive, and it's a workforce program. We do green infrastructure, heavy equipment operated, TWIC, a number of things. But I was talking to a group of brothers, and a pastor was telling us, a brother who got his own business, construction. He was talking about the immigration, how people come over here and work so hard, or and to get the things that we need or be in our communities. Not saying that it's nothing bad, because if you're not doing anything to answer a particular need, then somebody needs to do it.
That's right.
You know, but we was talking about uh, just how, you know, every time you if you're spending your money inside the community, that you spend it with somebody that don't look like you. And but you know, the conversation was stemming, and we was having a round table about it. But what I noticed was that everybody was looking at the problem. Nobody was looking at the solution, as far as that that it's a different hunger there. When people come over here, it's a different level of poverty that they experience where they at, right? And true enough, they do group together because they group together out of desperation. We've had a tendency to come over here, but not come over here because we've been over here, and take certain things for granted. I know a lot of people might, you know, take notice to what I said, but it's true, because I think my biggest anxiousness with a situation is when I drive past a building that's dilapidated, or I could see the gold in a rundown situation. I could see, so I think we need to definitely, and I've been talking to people, and we'll talk to Norris and a few other brothers. We definitely have to start growing. Even not saying we have to own it, but we have to empower people to own businesses in our community, train people up, group them together, and show them that these things they can be had. And we should, every time I go, if they even act like they're trying to disrespect me when I go in out and spend my money, you know. But it really messes with me since I've been out, where every time I'm in the community, that when I go to spend my money, I gotta spend it with somebody that don't look like me. So that needs to change. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a poor representation, I think, of when I came up. They always had, you know, when I was a little boy, I could see somebody black owning a store and different things that, you know, so it gave me something to, it shaped I had entrepreneur people in my family, obviously with other situations as well.
The
but
enterprise
it shapes you when you're young to have that kind of, you need to be exposed to that. So we definitely need to have our children exposed. I don't care if it's just whatever it is, but we need to help grow businesses in the black community, you know what I'm saying, and empower people. Yeah.
And I said that in one of my podcasts. It's a difference between being raised and reared.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? See, a lot of times us as black people, we raise our children, meaning that we just only provide clothing and food, right? We don't rear them to be anything. Right. You know, a great example of rearing is like, okay, all those are dysfunctional family, the Jacksons, right? Meaning, but some of them boys and them girls was reared to be superstars. I say Beyonce, Matthew Knowles reared her. You're going to thank me when you get older, you know. Sometimes you could raise a kid. I always say this here, and I said it back there one day when we was doing the thing, that it's much more easier to build a boy than to train a man. See, and what you say about empowerment is like, hey, a lot of these people that comes in, right, from other countries, right, they don't have to know economics. All they need to know is Negronomics, right? Because once they go to our neighborhood, we're going to support it, all right? Another thing also is about this, and somebody said this on the internet, because I always listen to the internet thing. They use the example of, I think it's a hoppergrass or a cricket, that it has like a 9-foot vertical leap, right? Meaning, but if you put it inside of a jaw, right, he's going to try to jump out, but he's going to hit his head. But after a while, right, what happens? Now it's still hop, but it limits his jump, so it won't hit his head. So now if they have babies in the jaw, right, now they think this is the highest they can jump. You see what I'm saying? Because this is all the part they seen their mother, their father jump. So that's the same way with us. Sometimes that if we don't see people going places and building things, then hey, we have no template for the Father. You see what I'm saying? You know, so I don't know, man. I think this is
a blessing. It's a blessing, though. I think it's changing, because it's our obligation to be that change. Not saying it's a lot of positive things going on out here. I've seen a lot of brothers that's empowered, that's doing their thing, but I know for a fact that we need to do more. We need to do more. Coming from our as far as the consciousness that we have, we need to make sure that that's passed on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It should be contagious. You need to pass it on. You know. But anyway, man, this is like one of the longest podcasts that I had, but it's the most interesting.
Right. Thank you, though,
You
man.
know,
I appreciate
so
you inviting me.
I hope you enjoyed something that we said, and maybe maybe y'all might want me in this